Opinions, viewpoints, and beliefs presented on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the management, the affiliates and broadcast partners, or the sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
Scarefest Radio, the radio you can see.
And hello and good evening, everyone, and welcome to Scarefest Television. The original broadcast date, June 28th, 2024, in the run-up to Scarefest 16. And tonight, sorry, I've got my producer doing other things now. Tonight, my guest is Adam Bonnett. Adam, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
I'll just leave you on there. That's good. Just leave us both on screen for the moment. I do want to tell everybody, okay, Joanna could not be here tonight. She had a family emergency, a little medical emergency that she had to take care of, and it came up like an hour ago. So, wish her well. Good luck with that. But, so it's just me, Adam, and I'm way out of practice doing this shit by myself. So I'm just gonna give you a heads up there.
All right.
See, I got Bonehead Weekly. We'll be talking about the First Omen on his movie review, and we have two celebrity announcements tonight. And so let's just get right into it with Adam. Adam, now your presentation that we approved is called Exploring the Paranormal with Glider. Let's just start there, and then we'll work backwards. What is your presentation going to be?
All right. So pretty much basically what I'm going to do is give a brief description of myself, a little rundown and everything like that. And then we're going to go into, it's kind of like a ghost hunting 101, except more descriptive. Like we're going to cover basis of types of huntings, types of equipment to use, pretty much everything that you can think of for beginners or anyone else that wants to learn something that I might be able to share my knowledge with, so pretty much covering whatever I can to, pretty much get other people involved and good to go.
We, now, first of all, I know you're a gifted speaker and everything, and that's kind of how you got slid in. Because we don't approve a lot of so-called paranormal 101s, but we did think, well, we did want to, we had 2 or 3 submitted that ran along that description, but I said, no, let's go with Glider. We'll go with that. Now, the other thing I want to ask you about, before our first break, now you also label yourself a motivational speaker.
Correct. Yes.
Tell everybody about your motivational speaking. What could they expect if they came to one of those speeches?
Well, what I like to do is, in my situation of being in a wheelchair, I've dealt with a lot of things in my life to try to overcome obstacles, things like that. And I'm very stern about, not giving up. And there's always, well, I don't want to say always, but 98% to 99%, there's always a way to try to figure out a way to overcome things. There's different alternatives and such. So with my situation, I try to, be an inspiration to others that anything is possible. You can do whatever you set your mind to. And, I just try to motivate and do what I can to get other people to get out and do more things. And, don't take no for an answer. That's the thing. I've dealt with it myself, and I've overcome so many things in life. I drive, I work a full-time job, and it's, it's something that I've learned to do, getting my chair in and out of the vehicle, things like that. And I know that there's other people in my situation, or if not worse, that's curious about how to do things. And if I can share that knowledge, I'm 100% for it, to try to inspire somebody else.
Now applying that, what you just said,
Yes.
to the paranormal world.
Yeah.
And this is, I'll probably end up saying something to piss you off for the night.
No.
And the reason I say that is, okay, most of the ghost hunting locations are historic locations. They
Correct.
were not handicapped accessible.
That is correct.
And so how much of a challenge is that? And the reason I'm going to ask it that way is because if I had to haul your ass up and down the stairs at Waverly,
right,
we would both be dead.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it does present challenges. Like a lot of the places that I've been to on the East and West Coast are, as you spoke, they're historical landmarks.
Mm-hmm.
They're not fully accessible, but in my situation also, I'm very outgoing to do things. If I want to do something, I find a way to do it. Lo and behold, it's either I've been in situations to where my friends would just come up and firemen carry me and somebody else get the chair or something like that. Or I've been in a situation where it's like step, 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 step. But I've also been in a situation where if I want to go to a certain area or something like that, and let's say I'm by myself, I will physically scoot my butt up steps and pull my chair with me, so there's a lot of determination to do things, and I always find a way to try to figure out how to do it. So
yes, and that makes me feel like shit because the story I've told 100 times on this show. I've been to Waverly 3, 4, 5 times, whatever it was. But at least 2 of those visits, I went with a bunch of college kids.
Mm-hmm.
And those college kids would go, they'd go up to the roof and then they go, well, wonder what's going on in the death tunnel. And they'd run all the way down. Straight and then I'd fall. And then they'd say, well, there's nothing. It's quiet down here. Let's go to the 4th floor. Right. Back up the stairs. And, and I remember the last time I went, I remember literally laying in the floor because my back was hurting so bad. Right. And here you're telling me this story.
Yeah.
What are, to keep it on this focus a little bit, what are some of the, as far as places people can visit that are in your situation, that are, if not in a wheelchair, at least, mobility challenged? Right. Where are some good places you found that are in the paranormal world?
Like a lot of the facilities that I've went to, luckily, a lot of those places have a very wide, vast first floor area because generally you go into a location that's the main floor. I know Moundsville, I've been to Moundsville Penitentiary multiple times. It's very, very easy for me to get around to the places I want to get around. The places that I would investigate there are more than enough to keep me, happy for the evening or whatever you want to consider it. Lo and behold, Trans Allegheny too. It was the first floor of it's humongous. So just to be able to do that, Hillview Manor is very, the floor is accessible for that, to be able to investigate a wide range of locations in each place. One of the hardest places that I've investigated was probably Preston Castle in California. Mm-hmm. It's like a castle. It's a beautiful place, but it was different setup. So it was more harder to navigate because of different things placed here and there, and then the stairs and such. Some of the stairwells, if I remember right, was kind of the more narrow stairwells to go up and
That's
stuff.
When you said that, I remember I've seen it, I guess, on a couple of TV shows. Never been there, but to me, they call it Preston Castle, and I'm beautiful from the outside. Inside, the way I remember it on TV, it looks like some dude's house, as far as the layout of it.
Right. It's a little like the outside looks beautiful. It looks huge, but once you get inside of it, it's more of a I don't even know how to explain it. It's not as spread out as you think it is. It's more, smaller areas, smaller rooms, and things like that. So, and then of course, St. Albans Sanatorium. I investigate there quite a bit. It's got the lower level, which you can get into the lower level. I'm able to get into the lower level, and then the upper levels, things like that. Well, certain upper levels, but more than enough to investigate.
When now while we're talking about investigating, now are you part of a team or do you travel on your own?
I kind of do it on my own. I mean, I got friends that I go with, of course, and there's a paranormal team that I do some investigating with quite often. But I like being a solo investigator. I mean, there's less drama, things like that. So, but I try to investigate with others, and like I said, that paranormal team. But other than that, I just pretty much wing it and just go.
Brenda McDan, were you at Scarefest last year?
Yes. Yep.
God, my little 50-foot trip from the booth to that back hallway, I didn't see anybody. Pardon me for not saying hi. Somebody in the chat room, Brenda, just said she wanted to know if you plan on photobombing her this year because you're in like 90% of her photos. So,
every time, if I can, I'll do it. The problem is I'm about only yay high, so if I roll right in beside someone, it just happens.
Before we go to break, that's a good question. Now my philosophy on anyone in a wheelchair or whatever is just pretend they're not in a wheelchair. Just
right.
Be perfectly natural and be myself. Do you prefer? Now this is you personally, because I realize that you can't paint with too wide of a brush. But when people are engaging with you, are you perfectly happy if they just bend at the waist and shake your hand? Should people get down on their knee every now and then? No. Tell me what you like.
It doesn't matter to me. I mean, I understand that different people see different things, and a lot of people and a lot of my friends see me as just a normal person, It doesn't bother me at all. Whatever a person feels comfortable with, I'm a people person, so I'm pretty set on however they, if they want to introduce themselves to me and they want to shake my hand and lower themselves, that's fine with me, but eventually they get more at ease. It's just, I don't want to say society, but things are different, with me and my situation, and people see things different, and it's just how it is.
We'll have a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with more with Adam Bonnett, everybody. For Scarefest.
This is a 2024 Scarefest weekend sponsoring vendor. The Bombs makes bath and body products for everyone. Ashley Dobbs makes unique small batch hand-painted bath bombs, plus sugar scrubs, whip soaps, and body oils. Find the Bombs on Facebook and at the monthly Central Kentucky Mystical Market in Lexington. Scarefest weekend sponsoring vendors make the event happen. Be sure to tell them that you heard it here on Scarefest TV.
Tuesday's Crypt features deals with talents in the horror community, from mask makers, sculptors, artists, and more. Plus, podcast Live in the Crypt, shooting the shiz with BK and the Swag, and BK and the Bees, Horror Buzz. Visit their website, join their Facebook group, and thank them for being a Scarefest sponsoring vendor.
And welcome back, everybody, to Scarefest Television. Our guest tonight is Adam Glider Bonnett, presenter for Scarefest 2024. before I leave that topic, have you noticed, has there been a change over your lifetime in how people react to the differently abled, if you want? And the reason I ask it is, and I'm showing my age here, in my day, we didn't give a flying fuck. It was just what it is what it was. But people are so worried nowadays, or this whole political correctness and people worrying about offending somebody. I was wondering if you've noticed any type of difference, or people just still people.
People, what I have noticed, like I'm old school, like you said. You know, people. I grew up with people that I was no different. You know, people treated me no different, things like that. But I've noticed, probably within the last 10 years, that people are more scared to ask me questions. You know, people are curious about what happened to me, or similar situations, but you know, the hesitation's there, and then eventually one day they're just like, hey, so I just want to ask you what happened to you, you know. I'm like, I don't have an issue telling anyone. It doesn't bother me, because if I can share that knowledge and, you know, explain to somebody and they're not as curious, you know, that's the thing. I always tell people, even during my speeches, you know, if you have anything that you want to ask, no matter what it is, just ask me. You know, the curiosity is better to ask me the question to get rid of the curiosity than sit there and ponder the question, you know. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's the hardest thing is just to get people to break the ice, you know. But once they break the ice, it's good, because question after question. So
now I want to move over to the paranormal part of it. I'll probably come back to that, because I've actually got a couple of smart ass questions to ask you. But I do want to know, in the chat room, they're already asking, because your presentation is about equipment.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Okay, now this is kind of a cookie cutter question. I'll start with it.
Okay.
If somebody comes to you and says, I want to start ghost hunting, what do you tell them to take on that first trip?
An open mind. That's the first thing I tell them, like that. Not equipment wise. Equipment wise, you know, I'm a firm believer in a voice recorder. I used to be the one who would go out to investigate and just let a recorder run and run and run. Then I learned that all that audio, I have to go over all that audio, you know. So that's the worst part. You just
explained why I quit ghost hunting. Go ahead.
Right. But I learned that, you know, whenever I'm starting to get some activity going, you know, that's when I'll start bringing out the voice recorder, and, you know, I'll do maybe a 30-second to 45-second clip asking questions, see if I can get answers, things like that. I'm an old school type investigator, I want to consider it. I love different. I'm not all into the pretty lights and stuff. It's cool, but I love knocking on the walls, see if I can get shaving a haircut back and things like that, you know. So doors slamming. That's another thing that I like to use in my situation is I relate myself to, for say, if I'm investigating a hospital or something like that, you know, I'll relate myself to maybe a situation that happened there, to somebody else that might be in a wheelchair or some sort of physical impairment, you know, to, you know, if they can relate to me, if they have a question that I might be able to try to answer for them, you know, knock on the wall, things like that. So
somebody asked me the question, I'm gonna say a flashlight and a pad of paper. But no, I do love the audio, because I do.
Yeah.
How can I say it? Audio, I guess it's easier to misinterpret, but it's to me it still seems harder to fake.
Yes, I agree with that. Like,
but now the only thing where you said about, you know, used to, I guess that's my weakness, is if on the rare occasions I go, I'm still that guy that likes to set the recorder down, and I like to set it in like the far end of the building for where I'm going to be. Yeah. I've gotten some really cool stuff, and I couldn't have screamed, and that recorder picked me up.
Yeah.
It's just like they in words, they go about their business is a
Yep.
good way to,
Yep.
the way I look at it.
Yep.
Now, recorder wise, since we're talking audio, low tech, high tech, how do you?
Pretty much medium-ish. I've never really tried the high-tech stuff because I'm the type of person that, if I can I don't like to spend a ton of money on a high-tech audio recorder. I know certain ones do certain features that pick up better, things like that. But I've had better luck with like just a medium type priced audio recorder that, I've even had I didn't spend much money on my very first one I had. And I went to Gettysburg to investigate a bed and breakfast area. And me and a couple of my friends were outside investigating, and I just set my recorder on the ground. This was during the setting it down and letting it run for hours or whatever. And the funny part was I got back home, and like 3 or 4 days later, I was dreading listening to the audio, and I caught some of the best things I've ever heard in my life on the audio, so it was just, I don't know. I really haven't found a reason to go beyond what I got right now. So
I don't blame you. And now, my own personal experience. Okay, I fell in love with the little Sony digital recorders.
Yeah.
They're good, clean audio. They pick up good.
Yep.
I don't worry about them, picking up radios or anything.
Right.
But when I was into it big, I bought me a Zoom recorder.
Uh-huh.
And I quit using it because I could not use it in the dark.
Yeah.
Too many goddamn buttons.
Right.
That little Sony, I could feel that with my thumb and hit it. Zoom,
Exactly.
I had to have my flashlight trying to fix, and so yeah. So I agree. Keep it simple. It's reliable. Do you ever use good old fashioned? I guess you can still buy the tapes for them. The little dictation recorder tapes.
I never tried those. I always wanted to, just to see what it would be like, just see if it picked up any different or anything like that. But I just never have done it. But I always thought it would be cool to try it, see what it was like.
I'm not going to say they're better, but I will say they're as good. I've gotten, so if you, but that's one, if you get something, then you got to transfer it over to digital because of the internet.
Yeah.
And, you're a big digital guy. Now, in your presentation, what other equipment do you touch on?
I will talk about, between recorders, REM pods, I got some Paralights, as they call them. I just bought those as an instinct buy, but I've had good luck with it. It's pretty much just like a K2 meter, stuff like that. I love that.
But is that good, though?
What is it?
But is that a good thing? The K2, being like a K2 meter.
I mean, it goes off the same, what's the word I'm looking for here? The same detection, off
right.
but yeah, I don't know. I mean,
that's what people ask me about them, and I say, well, okay, the best thing about a K2 is it'll pick up anything. The worst part about a K2 is that it will pick up anything.
It will. That's true.
We were at a house along the highway one time, and we're 90% sure, based on the timing of it, that we were picking up CB radios. We'd have a truck go by, the K2 would light up. Now, at the same time, I've got a couple, and I do like them in that I can set them down, forget about them, and if that lights up, I'd say, now there's a possibility something's going on.
Yep. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing also these days is with cell phones, everyone has a cell phone on them. They don't put them in airplane mode, and next thing you know, they're carrying around a K2 in front of them, and then they get a message, and all of a sudden it goes off, and they're like, oh, it's Ghost. I'm like, no, You know, it might be your cell phone, could be electrical, could be anything. So, but
well, we agree on the cell phones up with that. But now okay. Now, one thing that has happened over the last, I guess really 10 years now, I am so far out of this, it's not funny. But people now consider this a ghost hunting device. And they're downloading apps and everything. And do you trust that kind of stuff? Do you use any of that kind of stuff?
I don't use that stuff at all. No, I don't. I myself, I don't agree with it. I don't think the relevance of it. I mean, it's coming from, electronic device that's made to, the program itself is meant to spit out words. I don't know if I did just from the experience that I've had with them or have seen people with them, I'm not a firm believer in it myself. So
100% agree.
Yep.
My thing about it is that, I mean, there are apps to do anything on this phone.
Right.
I mean, and I just don't know how capable this device is. And, and people that are listening, just throwing the word quantum into the description does not mean shit.
Right. Right.
I had one guy try to do that one night. He kept telling me about quantum energy. One of my big pet peeves, and I've had this happen on a lot of public investigations, less so when I was part of a group, but where people would see, and on Ghost Adventures or whatever, they would see a new piece of equipment, or just, heck, maybe going to a convention, and they'd take that thing out in the field and think it was the greatest thing since sliced bread and not really understand it.
Right.
Is that still a big thing in the paranormal world where as the technology's getting better, people want to jump on the technology without being able to define it?
I think there's still that out there. Yes. That's the thing with my opinion here with the shows, not as increased as what they used to be back in the day. Technology has changed a little bit more. More people are making stuff, and it's, a lot of the stuff that I've seen goes off the K2 theories that people are making. Sensory stuff, motion detector, static stuff, just like the old days. But I mean, I've worked to where public investigations have happened, and people jump on that train quite quickly, to try something different or something that they've seen on TV, and it kind of gets out of control sometimes with that stuff because people don't research and see what it does, or the light goes off, it's paranormal.
I just realized the Instagram people, I'm kind of behind. I'm not framed good. You're fine. Oh well. Nobody watches on Instagram. Before now, actually, we're at time for break. Let's go ahead and go to break. We'll come back. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And then I've got some other questions for Adam. We'll be right back, everybody.
Are you a fan of horror movies, books, comics, music, and collectibles? Roomorg magazine is for you. Subscribe today to receive 6 or 12 print issues annually and join me, executive editor Andrea Subasati, on an ongoing journey through the horror genre of the past, present, and future. Plus, get access to unmissable special editions such as A Century of Witches, 50 Years of Gore Cinema, British horror movies, and so much more. Rue Morgue, the world's premier horror and culture and entertainment magazine since 1997. Accept no substitute.
Our first announcement of the evening, Sarah Scott Davis. Sarah Scott Davis, Phantasm 3, Lord of the Dead. But also, just like, 27 IMDb credits. That's pretty respectable. Devil Takes a Holiday, Only in America, Dead Alive. But, good little collection there. But she is part of our Phantasm reunion. And here's one for you that gets requested damn near every year. Courtney Gaines of Children of the Corn. Courtney Gaines of Children of the Corn. Also from Candy Corn. I don't remember him. I don't remember him. I watched that movie closely, and I don't remember that. Oh well, Deadly Crush. Urban Myths. The River. Wait Until Dawn. A nice big resume for Courtney. But, and Google him. Look on his IMDb page. He looks really good with a beard. He's got a picture on IMDb with a beard. It ages him. He doesn't look like a teenager anymore, but neither do I. So anyway, Courtney Gaines is coming to Scarefest. Don't forget, if you're involved with an independent film project, the Scarefest Horror Film Festival is still taking entries. Just go to scarefestweekend.com and click the film festival link. It'll take you over to Film Freeway, and you've got till, I believe it's the end of August. You still got 2 months now, July and August. Hey, tomorrow I will be running in the Eddie Benton Legacy 5K at Coldstream Park in Lexington. You can Google it if you want to jump in at the last minute, but I am running 5Ks just because I'm old and fat and I want to do something to make myself die. I don't know. That's the only thing I can come up with. But if you want to join my Patreon project, I'm stalled at 52 people. And I will I will do the cosplay at 52. But, got the little tramp stamp thing coming up. I don't even know where the picture went. Apparently it's gone. I will do that cosplay with a tramp stamp if I get up to 100. But anyway, the Central Kentucky Mystical Market, I want to give theirs the tramp stamp. Right there. Maybe not that. That's a representation because I won't do it with a thong. Okay. No, not as far as I have to walk at Scarefest. By the way, the Central Kentucky Mystical Market, go ahead and mark your calendars, everybody. July 21st. July 21st will be the next market. It's a one-day market this month. So, we got that going on. And I want to remind everybody about the Enchanted Forest Ball. Coming up in July 20th, 2024. It's presented by Mystic Luna. Join us all for a magical evening filled with enchantment and wonder. The event will take place at the Clarion Hotel Conference Center, and that's in Lexington, right as you get off the interstate. The ballroom will be transferred into a mystical forest setting. Excuse me. Get ready to dance the night away with twinkling lights and surrounded by lush greenery. Come dressed in your most whimsical attire. I gotta make sure my tuxedo pants fit. I'm going to wear my tuxedo pants that I bought for cosplay and haven't ever used them. But by golly, they're actual tuxedo pants. And because I love to dance and I will be there. Adults only event. No one under the age of 21 will be admitted because there is an alcohol cash bar. And if you show up and you can't find me on the dance floor, that's where I'll be. So, there. By the way, everybody, you can Google that. You can look on Facebook. Enchanted Forest Ball. Welcome back, Adam. Everybody, we're talking to Adam Glider Bonnett, paranormal investigator and motivational speaker. and he's coming to Scarefest this year. And I need to get my chat back up here in case anybody does ask a question. Now, where I had some. Let's see. Oh, here's one.
What?
How do you feel about psychics? How do you feel about working with psychics? What is your opinion of psychics?
That's a good one. That's a touchy subject in a way, just because, but I've had some run-ins with psychics. Some that I've dealt with was legit because they've nailed some things that, wasn't, told to them, et cetera, et cetera. This is about locations. Whenever I go to locations or something, there's some that, are, how can I say this properly?
Just say it.
I don't believe in some. I'll put it that way. Some I believe, some I don't. The paranormal has opened up avenues to so many things. Everyone's doing different things. Everyone's a investigator. Everyone's an expert at something they think. But like I said, just dealing with some, I've had some good experiences and good investigations with, and then just, some that just, no, they just don't. Oh,
I get it. Somebody on Facebook the other day posted, everybody's a psychic now. And I'm not going to say anything because I got into the field. I had nothing. I had no gifts. I was a rock. I told everybody, I said, no, don't even ask me. And as I got into the field, I got more and more interested in pursuing that and working on that part of the experience. That being said, I'm still not much of a psychic. So if anybody thinks I'm claiming me, no, not really. I have my moments, as it were.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, I got some really good friends that are really good at what they do, and then I meet a lot of people, and just throughout meeting them, you get to know a person, and you just kind of can tell the basis of what they're trying to go towards or do, and it's a balancing act of trying to figure out,
As far as a paranormal investigation, though, do you feel like they add to your experience? A good psychic, we'll call it a good psychic. We'll just say, in general.
Yeah, I think that, it is a good thing. Like I said, I've been on investigations where people have actually figured some things out that made sense to me. Just for example, I used to have some issues, and whenever I would investigate and such, it was a random thing. This gentleman just come up to me and he's like, "Do you mind?" He says, "If I kind of follow you around tonight," and I was like, "God, that's fine with me." But long story short, at the end of the night, he come up and talked to me, and he's kind of told me the situation to where I was at was something was more curious about me, in my situation, because the facility I was at had the wheelchairs and such, but the wheelchairs were the higher backs, the wooden chairs, and mine was the lower chair and lower back. And that's kind of how I got the nickname Glider was, it looked like I was gliding across the floor. And he told me that if this issues that I was having still persist, that just kind of stop, and talk to them, explain your situation, let them know what's going on, and maybe I can relate to them or they can relate to me, and we can, kind of discuss things and, put us both at ease on what's going on in situations like that.
Okay, now we're going to circle back to something you mentioned yourself.
Okay.
and I'm going to say that I'm embarrassed because last time I interviewed you, I know I asked this fucking question, and I honestly don't. I think I remember part of it. When did your situation start?
13 months old. I was 13 months old. I had an ear infection. The ear infection spread down to the spinal column. At this time, that was back in the 70s. So my parents took me to all the children's hospitals, all the hospitals around here. No one could figure out what was going on with it. A doctor referred them to take me to the Children's Hospital in Columbus. I was up there, I think, I'd say roughly, from what I understand, 3 to 4 days. And at that time, the doctor figured out what had happened, where it spread to the spinal column. And at that point, it killed some nerves. There was no chance of reversing it. They still pumped me full of steroids, things like that, in hopes of something might be reversed, but or even fixed, stopped, whatever you want to call it. But that pretty much just happened, and that's whenever I knew life, in my situation. I just adapted as I went.
Now, let's jump forward. What triggered your interest in paranormal?
I've had quite a few things that triggered my interest, just from random things happening during childhood, just different events that happened. It stemmed from, seeing things or experiencing stuff that I couldn't, understand at the time. And then it just kept, I had the opportunity to start investigating. And from then, it was pretty much an addiction. I want to say it's an addiction, but it's that thrill of wanting to know what the unknown is that we don't know, and if I can go out and throw my 2 cents in and keep trying to get evidence or something to happen or anything I can, and it was just interesting, and I was curious about things.
Well, before we go to break, tell me a ghost story. Tell me one of your childhood experiences that really piqued your interest.
Okay. So this one is just kind of it. Long story short, we was riding ATVs one day past a church, and there was a big old long straight down through there, and we always would stop at the church and just kind of hang out and sit on the cement padding of the doorway of the church and stuff. Well, I forget exactly. Somebody had to use the restroom. It was with us, so they went over to check the door to the church, and it was 2 doors. And lo and behold, it was both locked. There was a door here and a door inside, and a door on this side and a door inside. So it was 2 double doors on both sides. The outside doors were locked. We thought that it was open to go right inside and use the restroom because that's where the facility was there. Well, they went over and checked it, and me being me, I was curious. I was like, nah, I'm gonna go check and make sure that's really locked. So I go over there and I grab the handle and I start moving it back and forth and didn't think about it. Go back towards where we was sitting, and all of a sudden that door just the handle starts turning and just starts shaking a little bit. And I thought, at that time, I was done. It was time to leave, But that was one of the, the younger childhood things. It was scary to me at the time because I knew that there was no one there, and we was just going.
Okay, I got a couple more questions for you after the commercial break. Everybody will be right back, and we do have Bonnett Weekly coming up talking about the first omen.
Studios is a Scarepast Weekend sponsoring vendor. Trick or Treat Studios is the one-stop shop for high-quality Halloween and horror. Shop masks, costumes, figures, collectibles, games, and more from your favorite movies. Find Trick or Treat Studios online at trickortreatstudios.com.
Joel at Robinson Art is a Scarefest weekend sponsoring vendor. Joel Robinson has been the official Scarefest weekend artist since its beginning in 2008. Joel is a movie cover artist and a Universal Monsters artist. Visit Joel for posters, canvases, t-shirts, purses, and backpacks. Visit Joel's Etsy page at joelrobinsonart.com.
Hey, Scarefest fans, this is Joe Lewis with another review. This week, I tried my best to get to see this in the theaters. It came and went. They spent a lot of money on this production. It wasn't a huge hit in early 2024, but it's classic franchise. I finally got around to watching the first Omen. Now, I wasn't overly enthused about this to begin with. I like the Omen. Don't particularly care for any of the sequels. Don't even know if I ever even watched the remake. It's a serviceable film, the first one, directed by a masterful director. Dick Donner also gave us Lethal Weapon and Superman. But The Omen, I quote it all the time. It's a good movie. It's good. It's a classic. I get it. But do I need to see a prequel? I know what happens. That's the problem with prequels. But so many people I know, even on social media, who were insiders in Hollywood, talking about this as one of the best horror films this year, maybe one of the best ones I've seen in forever. There's one particular screenwriter, she went on talking about this may very well be the best Omen, better than the first. Well, I finally watched it because it's on Hulu right now, streaming if you have Hulu. And it is a really well-made movie. It's directed by Akesha Stevenson. And I didn't know a lot of her work. She directed on Legion. I need to go back and finish it. It's my fault. She also directed the miniseries that was on in 2021 on Netflix, The Brand New Cherry Flavor, which is also kind of a horror thing. Do I like the first Omen? I do. It's really well written. Well, it's really well acted, beautifully made. It's got a ton of character actors in it, and I love the lead actress who plays Margaret, Anel Tiger-Free. Wonderful, wonderful job. Is it better than the first Omen? No, honestly, to me, and I may get crucified for this, talking about the Omen, I think it's more of a Rosemary's Baby movie than an Omen movie. And your counter argument to that to me is going to be, well, Rosemary's Baby is about her having the son or daughter of Satan. Yeah. What do you think the prequel to the Omen is? It's Rosemary's Baby. Did anyone have this conversation when they were execs sitting around in a room? Probably not. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Is it a good movie? Yes. Is it enjoyable? Yes. It's a little slow. It's a little too long. I love the birthing scene in the middle. They go there. And you notice I said in the middle. It's not towards the end of the movie. There's another birthing scene. They go there a couple of times. I liked the third act a lot. There is several things I can complain about. Not just one. It's really set up for a sequel, and I understand why. Or a variant kind of shoot off to the Omen. And if you come talk to me during Scarefest or wherever, ask me, I have a different ending to this movie that I think would have killed everyone. Maybe probably would have killed the box office even worse. But since this didn't light up the box office to begin with, what would I have lost? And you would have been talking about that ending forever. There's a different way I would have ended it. And it's much more, in fact, the ending of this isn't as dire as it could have been. I think it could have been much more bleak. Trigger warnings for anybody out there who's a parent. I never thought I'd talk about trigger warnings, but I'm a parent. Certain things bother me sometimes. I don't need trigger warnings. However, for some of you, if you've given birth or what, some of this is a little rough. Maybe not. Watch it. Should you watch the first Omen on Hulu? Yes. It's a good movie. I just think it's not as good as a lot of people who I know who are famous and make a lot more money in the movies than I do, which would be more than $5 since I don't make any money in the movies. Say it is. I don't think it's that good. It's pretty good. So watch the first Omen on Hulu when you get a chance. This has been Joe Lewis of Bonehead Weekly.
Welcome back, everybody, to Scarefest Television. We're in our final segment now with our guest, Adam Glider Bonnett, talking ghost hunting and paranormal theory and stuff. Okay, Adam,
Yeah.
how long have you been ghost hunting? When did you really start pursuing the paranormal? Do you remember how long?
Probably, I mean, I really got into it probably around 2008 to 10, somewhere in that area.
Okay, that's about the time I got into it.
Yeah, that was whenever I really started being more curious, more, I wanted to do it more and just go from there.
Now, looking back at your fresh little face wheeling around the haunted locations, have your views changed? Has your belief structure changed from when you started to now?
Yes, 100%.
What has changed?
Well, whenever I first started, I was still, I don't want to say skeptical about things, but there was situations to where I was trying to figure it out, but now, I've had so many experiences of things happening that I cannot explain what's happened. Anywhere ranging from doors shutting in front of me to screams to, and these are all audible things that I've heard with my ears. Multitude of footsteps. There's been situations to where I've investigated locations, and I know this is very hard to explain or have somebody believe it, but I will be sitting in a room asking questions, and the spokes on my wheelchairs will actually make a tinging noise like somebody come up and just pinged them.
Cool.
Yeah, that was cool because the people that was in the room with me at the time, and one of my friends, he says, "Dude," he says, "did you touch any of your chair?" I'm like, "Damn, I said my hands are on my lap. I'm not doing anything." And it was just amazing to have that happen. I also, like I said earlier, I like to use myself as a trigger object too. So if I'm in a location and I will push, I don't want to say I'll push the wheelchair card, but in my situation, I will. For example, I can't open up a door. Can you help me open the door? I've had the doors actually creak a little bit, like something's trying to open the door for me. But it's changed 100%, to the better, to where I'm starting to, the more things that I hear and see and things that's captured, and it's just, how do you explain it? That's what we're out to figure out, and something's doing it. But that's where we're all at, just trying to figure it out.
Okay, so you've quantified yourself as less skeptical about the existence of the paranormal than you were
Yes.
when you got into it.
Correct.
Now, just between you and me and the 10 or 12 people watching the show,
Right. Yeah.
Do you feel like that makes you a better investigator, or because now the reason I'm asking that is personally, as I got more and more into the psychic realm, I actually wasn't, I don't know if I want to use the word wasn't comfortable, but taking people into haunted locations and expecting them to investigate properly when, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, there's a little girl in here somewhere, that. So how do you feel that has affected you investigating?
I think it's affected me to the good, because I'm, whenever I first said earlier about the first thing I suggest to people is being open. That was my hardest thing whenever I first started, was accepting things that happened. Don't be judgmental about things that just popped out or something happened, You have to be open to be able to try to understand what's going on and such. Just throughout the years, I mean, I don't consider myself any better than anyone else, but I've had tons of experiences. Just from, I worked in a haunted location for 8 years. That was constantly dealing with, certain energies or things like that, let's say Bob or Sarah made mad that night, that energy affects me being in there because it's upset, somebody done something, and there's going to be the retaliation, is, whatever happens. But just, I think it's opened my knowledge more. It's made me more aware of things that I didn't first see or hear. It's a learning process, but that's the thing. Like I said, we're all in it to learn something and to experience something, or try to figure out something that's going on.
One last question. Okay. If a greasy faced teenager walks up to you tomorrow and says, "I'm thinking about getting into ghost hunting. What advice do you have for me?" What advice would you give to the new teenage ghost hunter?
Is he standing up or squatting down?
Let's, for the sake of I'll give it to you 2 different ways. First one, he just leans forward, and makes eye contact.
Yeah. What would be the first advice I would give him?
If they just wanted some quick advice, what would you advise?
I would tell them to go and do it and try it. It's not for everyone, but have fun with it. That's the thing. Go in and have fun. Be respectful. I mean, that's one of the major things to me. Is a lot of things. Tell him to use please, thank yous. A lot of the situations that you're in, some of these people might have been traumatized, or certain things happen. So be respectful, go in, have fun, and enjoy it.
Last question I got for you. From your perspective,
yes,
what's more important, cleavage or underboob?
Ooh, I tell you what, you wouldn't believe how many times I get crop dusted. So it's pretty bad.
I wasn't going there, but okay.
Well, I'm just saying that's just part of the game. So,
well, everybody, this has been Scarefest TV. I want to thank Adam for coming on tonight, and you'll be able to see him and get his presentation at Scarefest in October. So next week, hey, the council will be on. We'll be telling you the latest. See if we've had any movement. How in the world is Brandon going to get all these guests announced 1 or 2 a week? I do not know how we're going to do this. He's going to have to get some stuff going. Everybody, this has been Scarefest TV. See you next week.